you saw in the last video, we got this thing in the shop. Let's see what we can do to address this leaking mast cylinder. I think we need to try to think of how we want to do this. I've got it here in the middle of the shop, so we got all the ceiling height. Try to get this thing out of here. What we're gonna have to do is get the tension off the chain, get the chain off, and then I think if we do undo this Allen screw, that should get this piece. We can lift this out of the end of the ram. And then there's 4 bolts. We need to get this piece off because we need to go straight up with the ram, so this will be in the way. So I think once we get all that, we should be able to unbolt this and lift the ram straight up and out, is my hope. And that should be how we get this thing apart. So we're gonna have to lift this up. So I'll take and use the forklift to lift it up, and then we'll chain it somewhere. And since this cylinder leaks down, or we could let it down, either way, it should all settle back down, and we'll start undoing this stuff. So there's 4 bolts here. This one has no nut on it, and this one is loose. So we've got 3. Well, let's just go ahead and look. Now we've only got 3 to deal with, and that one is already loose, so that one will be easy to get off. And then we've got 2 actually to unbolt. And that's the other thing about doing this is we need to, as we're doing all this, we need to be checking hardware. Stuff like that, of course, we need to address, and we probably need to try to bend this plate back and just check everything and make sure we're not missing bolts, they're not loose, and just get all that addressed before we put this thing into use. So let me get this done, and then I'll set up some time lapse once I get this thing chained up, and we'll start undoing this stuff and yeah, try to get this thing apart. All right, let's get this mast chained up. This thing runs so good. So quickly. Wrong way. I'm a forklift novice. Hoping will happen. Yeah. So we need to slacken the chain. Well, not even a, maybe that's a set screw, I don't know, but we the ram is out of that, so. All right, does that make our job easier? I don't know why this thing is, okay. All right. we got a good running engine. Unfortunate, this thing, I think it's had a pretty rough life, you know. I don't know, but runs well. So I'll set up some time lapse. We will get that upper piece unbolted. Probably just get some wrenches and the impact and just try to buzz those out real quick. I guess while y'all are looking, let's see if we can just roll this chain off of here. I don't know if it will or not. Yeah, perfect. So that was what I was hoping I'd be able to do, and not have to actually unbolt the chain. Just get it out of here and get the, so we don't have any slack in it. So we've got this chain holding up the carrier, whatever. What do you want to call this piece? I don't know. And we know we don't have to even do anything with that because it's loose. I don't think we need to unbolt these. So we're only going to unbolt what's supposed to be 4 bolts on each side. And we're going to take this piece completely out. And that should allow us to undo these bolts and take the ram completely up and out. We got it out. So the whole reason I wanted to make sure I got the ROPS bolted down the other day was for this very scenario. This is what I had envisioned. Of course, I don't guess it would have mattered too much because, well, we are strapping to the ROPS. But anyway, yeah. So got a 4x4 there with it blocked up here. Yeah. And use that blue strap to pull it out. I mean, it had a little bit of a suction to it. We ran it up, you know, bottomed it out up, and then pulled it out the rest of the way. So that worked out well. So here's our seal part. It's pretty hard. That's this right here. That's it on these. It's kind of like a cup seal or something. So we'll have to try to find one. I don't know. We'll look down in the cylinder, see what we can tell on it. And I don't know if there's a gasket here. I'll have to look at the parts diagram. There's even the correct serial number parts manual lists like 3 different seals. They have 3 different parts breakdowns for this mast. I think it's like 3, with 3 different part numbers for the seals, and I can't find a way to tell a difference between them. So I'm not real sure what to do there. I was hoping they also list a different part number for this seal here. So I'm hoping that maybe if I can get a part number off this seal, then that'll help me determine which one is correct for this. You know, if I look at the parts diagram that has this part number for the seal, then match it up with the part number for this cup, seal, whatever you want to call it. That's my thought. So as far as it's actually pretty good. So it's got some pretty bad right here, but that's the worst of it. And I think we can take a wheel on our grinder and just go over all this, or maybe some emery cloth, and get this just smoothed out. And I think since we're storing this thing inside, I think as long as we get it kind of smoothed out, this thing will have oil on it. So I don't think it'll rust up again. And I think it'll be fine. I don't see any big pitting. Now, I don't know if we're gonna be able to see down in here. It's probably full of fluid. Yeah. Let me turn the light on. We'll look at the upper part, but we really probably need to look at the bottom. But I don't know that I don't know what we could really do there. So we may, as long as it looks good up here, we may just cross our fingers and hope that it's okay, because I'm not real sure what we would do if it's not. Maybe we could try honing it if we made some kind of a really long hone shaft from a cylinder hone, make like a really long shaft for it and try to run it up and down there. I don't know. Let's see what we got. Yeah, because my thought is that yes, the water could have gone to the bottom, but I would almost think the top would be worse, because condensation should cause the water, or it should condensate at the top. If it was submerged in water, to me that would be not as bad. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what to do. I feel like we probably need to try to get the fluid out of it. I think we could just take the bottom hose off and let it drain out. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what we would do if it's rough. We'd have to come up with some kind of a really long hone. I don't think I could do it unless we did it in stages, without pulling the cylinder off. I don't know. Maybe even a brush on a drill would help it a little bit. I don't know. We can see if it's just here at the top. But yeah, I can definitely, I don't feel that. But there's something over on this side I'm feeling. So let's see if I can get a pan under it, and we will just undo this line and let it drain out. And I think we just undo it right here. Probably the best spot. Right here. That's probably our now here and here is where we want to do it. So let's do that. I'll get a pan under it and we'll see what we can figure out here. This stuff here, these bearings, oh, this one's a little rough. This one feels good. We'll just put some grease in this guy. And then I don't know, I guess that is a pinch bolt. Yeah, it was loose. So we'll grease these before we go back together with it. These bolts look okay, but we will probably pick up some new hardware for these. Grade 5 bolts, but they've been loose and think I'd feel better with just putting 4 new bolts in it. With some nylocks probably on it. All right. Well, it is hard to tell. It looks pretty good in there. There's one spot right there. I'm almost wondering, I feel like we can just touch up the high spots. I would think that the lower spots, as far as I can see, I can't tell, maybe something right there. I'll get a better light and get my eyes on it instead of trying to look through the camera. But I think it's really just up here high. I don't know. All right. I'm gonna get my cylinder hone, and we'll go as far as we can with it. Just quickly touch it up and see what that looks like. I don't know how far we can get, and because what I'm thinking is, you know, this thing has been used up and down, so I'm thinking this bushing, whatever you want to call that, piston ring or whatever, probably has kept a lot of that rust knocked down. But where this thing hasn't been used a lot, you know, high up, would be more prone to still having some rust. I don't know. It's a theory, right? So I should probably connect that line back up. It's dripping still. And we made a mess. I got that under it, but as soon as I undid that hose, I mean, it was just flying backwards, and tried to use my hand to funnel it. It just made a mess. So I should hook that line back up before we leak more out. All right, so here's my cylinder hone. I just loosened it off most of the way and ran it through there. But you thinking what I'm thinking? See that? See this? And see that? What if we bought, I'd have to go get one, but you know, basically it's the all thread couplers, look like a nut about that long, and we threaded that on here, and then we cut a piece of all thread long enough, even if we had to do it in stages, like let's say we cut, I've got quite a bit of this stuff, we cut one that's a couple feet long, and then we cut one that's maybe like 5 feet long, like a 2-foot piece and a 5-foot piece, and we use that to kind of do it in stages. But yeah, I mean, that's, oh shoot, it is not the same thread. What is this? It's coarse thread, and maybe the all thread's fine thread. Let me see, we may have to weld together a double nut, you know, to couple this to the all thread. Let me see what I can figure out. I just got back from the hardware store, and the problem with my all thread was it was 3/8, and what I needed was 7/16. So went to the hardware store, and they had 3-foot sections of 7/16 14, which is the same thread as our hone. So if we thread that guy on. Take that off. And then we take this guy. This is too easy. You know what? And what we'll do a jam nut too, just to make sure. We don't want to lose that hone down in the cylinder. That would be a mess. So we will take a nut, and we will thread this guy. Let's see, is that? I think we can go a little bit tighter on this. That's probably good. So we will thread that all the way on. There we go. And what we'll do, I'll get some wrenches, we'll tighten that up. And then for this end, look at that. We can use our, we could chuck this straight up in the drill, which we may end up doing, but we'll try using this guy. And then we'll take a piece of this. Let me cut it. Do something like that, and that'll just help keep, you know, if the sides end up getting, if we bump the side up, if this thing gets wobbly, we won't mar the scratch the cylinder. And so that'll get us down 3+ feet. Yeah, probably by the time we add that length plus this length, that's probably about 4 feet. That will get us. And I bought another piece, another 3-foot piece. And so we take that off when we get done with our first 3-foot piece. We got another coupler. Let's grab a jam nut, and we will go ahead and thread on that jam nut. And we will eyeball this thing halfway. I'd say that's about halfway. So we'll just tighten that up. I'm gonna have to get some wrenches, or a wrench. Must be 11/16 there. So tighten that up. We'll have this piece ready to scab on once we get down to the limit of the first section. And so that should allow us to hone the whole cylinder. It's going to take some time. We'll have to go slow. That is a lot of distance to hone. So I will set y'all up with some time lapse, and y'all can watch me for the next hour, probably, honing, 30 minutes to an hour, honing this cylinder. do y'all think of my hone? About a 7-foot hone. So it took about 20 minutes is how I would estimate, and just slowly went through. And once I got to the bottom, there's still some oil in the bottom, so I was able to kind of dip it in the bottom. But I did try to keep some WD-40 spraying in there. The whole cylinder is coated with oil, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, made it all the way. So our hone setup worked excellent. The only issue I had is I don't know why I thought the spring tension on that would hold this thing up while I disconnected the end piece and screwed on our extra length. It did not, so it fell. So I got that strap down in there and got that hook hooked right under here and pulled it up. So it only took me about 3 minutes to do that. So it wasn't too bad of a mistake. I figured I could probably get it out. Now, if we wouldn't have used this end piece, we could have just taken our threaded rod and stuck it down in there and threaded it in. But since we had this end piece on, it kind of screwed us up because we couldn't get under that. But we hooked it under the nut. Of course, the nut was there. It was this nut, but that coupler wasn't there, Anyway, this worked out well. Let's see. I don't know if we're going to be able to see down in there or not. Let's see what we can see. I was just blindly honing. We have no idea what it looks like. I'll get a light and take a look before I bring y'all and just see if I see anything that stands out that I can bring y'all's attention to, and then I'll let y'all know. All right, so been looking. Of course, we've got this spot. You can't feel this, so I think we've taken the high spots off, and that's all we can really hope for, is gonna get the high spots. So I'm gonna do a voiceover here. I was talking, while we're looking down this cylinder, and the camera, of course, I didn't think about the microphone on it is now in the cylinder, and it sounds like I'm in a well, and the audio quality was awful. So as you're looking down here, about midway as I was honing, I felt a rough spot, and I stayed in that rough spot till I could get it cleared up, until it felt smooth. You can't really see it on camera. I could see kind of a dark spot by eye, and I'm trying to get you where you can see it, but it never shows up on camera, not very well. But it's about halfway down, and yeah, I mean, I don't know what to do there. There's not really a solution other than getting this cylinder, rebored. I guess you could probably have that done. We're not going to do that. We're going to throw a new seal in it, new packing or whatever down at the end of the ram, and cross our fingers and hope for the best. So we've done what we can do with the tools we have. I think honing was definitely the right call to do here. It gives us a fighting chance of the seal surviving. That rough spot for sure probably would have damaged it. It's the best we can do. So I'm going to take some transmission fluid. I've got a couple quarts of Mercron 5 that I'll never use in a vehicle probably, and just use that to clean the cylinder. So we're gonna just run it down and let it flow all down the sides, and then we'll drain the cylinder out, just so we can get any grit that may be in the cylinder, from rust, from the honing process, get that flushed out to the bottom and get it out of the cylinder. All right. Well, y'all can't see too well, but I did get it all out, and we have flushed it and ran 2 quarts. I had some Mercron 5 that I'll never use, so ran that down the walls to clean them. As you can see, from what we can see, it looks good. And I did undo that fitting, but that fitting's got a elbow on it. I don't want to undo the elbow, so I just ran this all the way down to the bottom, hooked up to that, and pumped out the last excuse me, pumped out the last of it. So it is good. I'm gonna put the hose back on it and put that pan and that pan. I'll have to pour it up and then do all this stuff. And I think I'm gonna order a brass wire wheel for my angle grinder. And I think that's gonna be our best option for cleaning this up. I think the last thing we're gonna do, other than clean up and put the forklift up today, is I'm gonna slide this off and see if I can get a part number off that seal real quick. All right, so that section that was really bad, I did have to take that over to my bench grinder and work on it a little bit to get that cap off. I didn't want to go through the bushing. I mean, it's been up and down through that spot, but I didn't want to force it, even though it's been going through it. So I just knocked the high stuff off with the bench grinder and the brass wheel on the bench grinder. And I did get our seal out and cleaned it up, and I did get a part number off of it. So we got 14998. So I'm gonna look at my parts diagram and try to find the mast assembly that has a 14998 seal and try to get the, I don't know what, I guess you would call it packing, but whatever seal goes on the end of that shaft on the other end, based on the assembly that has this seal at the top end. Does that make sense? It's the best way I know how to do it. Well, looking at my parts diagram, they both take the same seal. I thought they were different. So I did find this seal. It looks thin. I guess maybe they've crossed it now to a thinner seal, which I guess is fine. We just won't be able to recess it as far. We'll just go flush with it, I guess. But yeah, it looks like a thinner seal, at least looking at the pictures. So I don't know what to do on this. I've been watching one of the part numbers on eBay for one of these seals. I think I'm just gonna order that one because it's pretty cheap, and we'll try that one. Once we get it, I think we can tell if it's size-wise right. I can't tell anything from the diagrams why there would be 2 different ones. I don't know. So this one, I mean, it's rock hard. It feels like a piece of plastic. So that's for sure while we were leaking. Yeah, it's gonna be trial and error. So, you know, maybe if I called a seal place, you know, they could look up the serial number and for sure tell. But I mean, I've got the parts diagram. It's parts diagram for this range of serial numbers. There's nothing on the parts diagram that specifies, you know, like this diagram is for serial numbers this through this. There's nothing. So I don't know. I'm just going to order the one I can get easily, and we'll try it. And I'll order the seal. I mean, the seal's the same for either one. So I think we're going to continue when we get parts. So that's going to do it for this video. I've got parts ordered, and we will continue next week once the parts arrive. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and subscribe for more.